Hey, this is Josh Blaylock, and you're listening to G.I. Joe Chronicles.
The Longbox Crusade presents
G.I. Joe Chronicles.
Don't they realize they're dealing with Destro?
When I'm through, Scuzz Bucket, they're gonna scrape you off the walls with a squeak.
Now stop sputtering like a wet toaster and get busy!
Welcome to G.I. Joe Chronicles. I'm one of your commanders, Pat Sampson, codename DJ Kristatos. And joining me, as always, is my battle buddy in this operation, Jarrod Albrick, codename Death Probe.
Oh, hey, Pat. I just got back from Orsted's faking your own death training. That's what I was training on today.
How was that?
Groovy, according to Orsted. He said it was groovy.
Mm-hmm. Did he teach you some simple breathing techniques? He
did. He said, he said, inhale this and then pass it to the left.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So you got the same instructions I got.
It was the weirdest training I've ever been to.
Yeah. I mean, after a couple hits, I don't remember the rest of it.
I don't.
But
I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling very.
I'll remember him just saying, we got to that point, and then all of a sudden he started playing the song called Pass the Dochi.
Yeah, the left hand.
Yeah. I'm like, but he was doing it on the bongos.
My first clue should have been usually when you go to training, you pay by the hour, and he was charging by the ounce.
Oh, yeah. So, well, supplies are hard to come by nowadays.
Apparently. Anyway, at ease, DJ Kristatos. And if you're still listening to this podcast, God bless you. All the green shirts out there who may be tuning in. I want to welcome everyone to Fort Longbox. We appreciate you tuning in to talk some G.I. Joe comics with us as we chronicle our way through G.I. Joe America's Elite on this episode. Now, next episode, we will return to our coverage of G.I. Joe Special Missions by Marvel. But for this episode, we're back in G.I. Joe America's Elite, the series that launched in 2005. On this episode of G.I. Joe Chronicles, DJ Kristatos and I are going to rotate in a special ops guest for the show. For this episode, our special ops guest is Crusaders Club member and all-around nice guy, Doug Dellow, codename Stratoviper. Welcome to Fort Longbox, Stratoviper.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Excited to talk about G.I. Joe comics.
We are happy to have you. He showed up proper. He's got a G.I. Joe like hoodie on. He's ready to go. All right, now's the part of the show where we debrief our new recruits, and that would be our friend Doug, the Stratoviper here. Doug, you get to regale us with your origin story of G.I. Joe. How did you come to G.I. Joe? I came via the toys myself. And then after that, you can tell us who your three favorite characters are, be they Joe's or Cobra. It doesn't matter, top three characters. But let's start with your origin story. How'd you come to G.I. Joe, Doug?
I came in through the toys as well. I was at a friend's house who had the toys sometime late 82, beginning of 83. Can't remember exactly when. Just thought these were much cooler than my Star Wars toys that had lost all their lightsabers. And the next time I was at Kmart, found the G.I. Joe aisle, found myself airborne and short fuse and bought those off. And from there, I was 100% in for all the toys.
I like it.
I like it that he went to Kmart and got it.
Yes.
With the blue light special and that sub. And the sub is featured in this one, too.
You do love to talk about your foods and your underwater vehicles.
A match made in heaven.
Let's get back to the Stratoviper himself and find out who his three favorite characters are. And Pat and I are judging you.
Judge me all you want. Airborne is my number one, and it's mostly because that's the first one I bought off the shelf, and secondly because one of the reasons I bought him was my father was Special Forces Airborne, and that struck me at the time, and so that's my number one. My number two, can I pick Cobras?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Strangely enough, is Stratoviper. I just thought that was the coolest pilot, and when I got the Night Raven in my Stratoviper, and I've collected quite a few of those over the years. And then my number three would be General Hawk. I played with the original Hawk. I had the MMS and the original Hawk, and I played with him a lot. But man, when they released that new general version of him. He's my number 3.
With the jacket?
Oh, yeah.
Love the jacket, love the helmet, the pistol. There weren't a lot of them that had pistols at the moment.
I like that. It was good attention to detail because being the general or being an officer in general, you would just really carry a sidearm. I thought that was fantastic. Those are good choices, man. I dig them all. Airborne, Strato Viper, General Hawk, especially. Of your 3, that's my favorite one of your 3. Fun fact, I was just at a G.I. Joe toy convention with Jim the Joe Junkie and his brother George and his dad this past weekend, and I picked up a couple more. I'm trying to finish off the 82 originals before the swivel arm, and I'm down to just Steeler now. As soon as I get Steeler, I'm done with that run. I'm excited about that. All right, I did what I always do and made it all about me. So with that, let's turn it over to Pat, codename DJ Kristatos. I think it's time for the intelligence report.
Right, you are, Jarrod, and I am glad you asked. And on this mission, we are covering G.I. Joe America's Elite number 8. It was published by Devil's Due. Cover date is February 2006. The writer was Joel Casey. Artist is Stefano Castelli. And colorist is Daniele Rudoni. Letterer is Brian Crowley. Cover art goes to Stefano Castelli and IFS. And speaking about the cover, let's go ahead to Death Probe. Can you please take us through the cover description?
Can do, Pat.
Take cover!
Issue 8's cover features Storm Shadow. It's a torso shot of him forming from the white background of the cover. His eyes are piercing, and across the top it says, "And then there was one." And I don't want to taint anything before we get into your part of the discussion, but it is an awesome drawing of Storm Shadow.
Well, Jarrod, you are definitely correct on that. But just because you think it's awesome, maybe I think it's awesome. Perhaps we should see if our guest, the Strato Viper, thinks it's awesome. So what do you think about the cover, Strato Viper?
How can it not be awesome? The handle of the sword behind his head with the cobra head.
Oh, yes.
The piercing view. I mean, he looks like a little bit more of a hulking man than what I envisioned my Storm Shadow, but it is a really awesome cover. I very much like it.
Very good. You say that with the detail in the sword. I think that looks really cool. But now that he's Joe, do you think they're going to let him carry that sword around? You think they could get him a cool one with a star or something on it?
Who's going to take it from him?
Yeah, that's true.
Orsted would put a little cozy on the end of it that you just cover it, right? You know?
Yeah, kind of like you would do a golf club in a bag. You
yes,
probably get
exactly.
That, like, yeah, and then you can probably get the golfer.
Yeah, it's just like it has like one of those little yarn ball things dangling from it, or
yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, or maybe some dice.
Yeah, yes, that's it.
Yes,
because the Snake Eyes is his buddy, right? So
yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be cool. Anyway, this cover is really cool looking too. I think I'd like him in that camo. It reminds me of, was it his second edition?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
with that camo-y, but now he doesn't have the hood's down, but he's all kind of that camo going on. And I think that's really cool. What's your thoughts, Jarrod?
Oh, definitely with you guys on this one. I mentioned it in the description that I just think it's really cool that they chose a white background because it's almost like he's emerging from the whiteness.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, and Doug the Strato Viper mentioned this just a minute ago. He led his part of it. Talking about the eyes. The eyes are perfect. They're that perfect hunter's look, those wolfish eyes. I just love them. You know, I probably haven't mentioned this before, Pat, but I've been known to draw a little bit in my day and then sell said drawings.
Oh, really?
And when I do like my book page sketches, when I do those, Pat, no joke, I always start with the eyes because if you mess them up, if you don't get them right, you're done.
Mm.
You can fudge just about anything else, but if you mess up the eyes, you're done. And these eyes are killer in both senses of the word.
Yes. To see him come out of like that whiteness and just freed and like, ooh, boy, this is
that faded in on you, looking at you like that. You'd be like, that's a bad day for me.
I don't know what I did, but I'm not going to be happy about it. But with that, let's go ahead and figure out how we would rate this cover. Here we rate this cover on a scale of 1 to 10 flag points. 1 meaning you didn't like it at all, and 10 meaning it's perfect, and you should make this a recruiting poster for your ninja school. And who want to, I want to be a bad looking ninja like this.
Yeah.
I definitely would come and do this. So Doug, tell us, what would you rate this on a 1 to 10 flag points?
Oh man, it's really, really good. But I just can't quite give it a 10. I can't give it a 10. To me, it just falls a little bit short. I mean, there's a couple of things. To your point, he's a Joe now, and it's still a Cobra sword that he's carrying around. And I don't know, I'm a little partial to covers that look like they came from the story. I didn't associate this with the story that we're going to talk about today.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 9.
9, that is definitely respectable. Jarrod, where do you fall?
Well, before I reveal my score, I just want to point out an interesting little trivia nugget about this cover. If you go to last issue 7 on its back cover, it teases the upcoming cover, and it's much more of a 3/4 body shot than this. This is a bit zoomed in, and so on the original layout, it's not as zoomed in, and he's actually holding the sword to his side. They have digitally moved the handle of the sword to look like it's on his back. In the original drawing, he's holding it in his hand. And to Doug's point, I think they would have been maybe better off just to drop it, or maybe they kind of wanted to play with that, like, because they've been playing with that "can you trust him" thing, so that might have been a part of it.
True.
And like Doug, I'm definitely way on the high end, and honestly, I've been wrestling between 9s and 10s on this one. And at the end of the day, I hold Storm Shadow in such a high esteem as a top tier character for me, and those eyes. Would I hang this poster on my wall? Absolutely. I'm going 10 on it.
Yo, Joe!
Definitely. I am going to join you at a 10.
Yo, Joe!
As well, because this is really cool. The white and him kind of coming out of that really pops for me, and those eyes too, staring at you. It's like, watching a painting on a wall, and if you look, these eyes are following you around the room.
Right now, he's staring at 2 cool guys, man.
Yeah, right now, you're right. He is staring at 2 cool guys at a 10, definitely, and one.
Don't. He's new.
Yeah,
Don't
one guy at a 9. One guy at a 9.
If it was Jason or Delvin, you could call him a jump. But he's new.
The 4 guys are wrong. I can't help it.
Okay. Now he's jumping.
And that's good. I mean, you got to be a Storm Shadow fan, and some people aren't.
No, he's absolutely right. Like if I didn't hold Storm Shadow in such high esteem, absolutely be a 9. We've talked about this before, Pat. A lot of these covers just determine on how much you love
the character,
whatever character is featured. So I get it, 100%.
Definitely. With the cover out of the way, let's go back to Death Probe for the story synopsis in our mission brief.
Look in the eyes of a hero and see the sacrifice within. There's no way out for the hero. He only lives to fight again. Heroes and all not for fortune or fame, but death, freedom, because we all just wanted the same. Real heroes don't give up.
This is an aftermath issue dealing with Snake Eyes' death from last issue. Former Joe and stand-in leader of the Red Ninja Clan, Shebang. Go ahead, Pat, do the joke.
Shebang!
You couldn't resist it. Shebang seems to know something and is gathering the Red Ninja for something. And Duke seems to have found the lair of whomever he's been hunting in the South American jungle, but he's captured by some older model bat robot troopers. Meanwhile, the Joe crew all deal with the loss of Snake Eyes in their own way. Most are angry and upset, and none more so than Kamakura, who knows of the sleeping phoenix ninja technique that duplicates the look of death. But Storm Shadow reports that this is not the case. When everyone finally calms down and goes to view the body in true ninja fashion, it's gone.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Okay, now it is time to get into our highs and lows of the issue. We're going to do a couple of rounds. And of course, we're going to start with the Strato Viper himself. Doug, you get first round. So what do you want to talk about first? What'd you like? What you didn't like? What's on your mind? What's the thing that's on your mind the most from this book?
I'm going to start with a low, actually. If that's okay.
I guess.
You didn't want to start it off with Shebang?
The low for me was the scene where we've got some of my favorite Joes, right? I understand the gravity of the situation. I understand that they're trying to get across how they feel about, they all believe that they've lost Snake Eyes. But did they? But anyway, I have a hard time when you've got Stalker kind of losing his cool. One of my favorite characters, and I think one of yours as well, Jarrod, but didn't jive with that scene around the table when General Colton's trying to get the readout from the mission and everybody's kind of losing their cool. So that kind of bugged me a bit.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I do agree with you, Doug, that it did feel a little over emotional, maybe for a cracked military unit. But I understand that our guy, Joe Casey, is, injecting. You kind of have to go big with emotions in comics. So I get that too. But I did pick up the vibe you're picking up. I would have liked to seen Stalker be a bit more stalwart. And I think he was later on when he calmed down Kamakura and all that. But yeah, it's like everybody needed a big emotion moment. And I think it would have been a bit better if he had just been if Stalker had been an absolute sort of rock for everybody when he needed to be. But then, of course, on the flip side, he and Snake Eyes go back.
That's the way I was taking, is like these two guys, they go back. Stalker, Tommy, and Snake Eyes. They go back. And so him getting emotional, I thought was, for the character, I thought would be a thing. And then, like you said, then you show his leadership starting to come in back after General Colton kind of talks to him, and he's the one that comes in and has to be the cool guy, the leader, which he is. He's the original Joe. He has to come in and get these guys back on track here. And it's an emotional moment. I think this whole issue was that kind of a feel. Jarrod, you mentioned in the thing that it's an aftermath issue, so you have a lot of emotions going on, and not only through that team, but there's other stuff that is happening in this one as well. Scarlet and Flint in this one got a little more interesting and a little more background with Flint and what's been going on in his mind.
True.
That was kind of good to see. At least you could see that he's aware of it. Even he said, I like it. Do I want to see it go or, get fixed? And he doesn't, because, that gives him his edge that he's got right now.
Yeah, right now his fuel is anger.
Yeah.
Well, in this round for me, guys, I'm going to give a high. You might have heard a pause there. A trepidatious high. I've often felt like maybe, just maybe, I don't want to anger any of the listeners or the fans out there, that maybe G.I. Joe tends to lean on ninja lore a lot. And I'm not complaining. I'm a kid from the 80s and ninjas were everywhere. And we all know that that's pretty much why it was birthed into a ninja book around, 21, right? That's when they revealed the connection between Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes and started off on Ninja Clan stuff. So when I saw Chabang and the Red Ninja Clan coming back in, part of me was like, ninja stuff. But the other part of me was like, this is what makes G.I. Joe unique. It is one part military and one part ninja book. And Larry definitely blended the two really well and gave us a real neat universe. So in the end, I was kind of glad, because we haven't checked in on the Red Ninjas and Chabang since
the other series. Yeah.
The last run. Yeah. The Devil's Due. Just regular G.I. Joe run that 43 issues, I think, that we covered. So it was kind of neat that Casey picked up that thread from Blaylock, like, hey, I still remember what these guys got going on. They've been backburnered for a while. So yeah, I think I might just be in a quasi, there's a little too much ninja phase right now, because I also recently picked up a fair amount of the harder to find later Marvel ones, where they literally change the name of the book to like Snake Eyes and his G.I. Joe pals or something like that.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, because at the end of the book they have the two profiles in here, and one is Kamakura and the other is Chabang or Chabang. But and even in that, Colton's kind of dossier or whatever of the characters or of the staff, so to say, and he even mentions in that there was a time that they became part of the ninja force and they did really good stuff here, and they give a little history on it on Chabang as well too, and just where he's been and how he's been part of the Joe team and some of the things that he's been doing. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was a smart move too, because Chabang's kind of one of those, came in like the early 90s characters. Like, he's obscure. You know, he's not a front line, no pun intended, G.I. Joe character. So I thought it was really clever that, you know, because they do that in this series. You know, Blaylock did it. Casey's now doing it. They'll pick some dust off character. I mean, we saw like Claymore show up and Shebang. So yeah, I'm really glad they put that little insert in there, because I think a hardcore sort of old school G.I. Joe fan might have been like, now who the heck is this? And then you kind of need that reminder. Oh yeah, kind of a 90s toy. Anyways, we've gone a full circle and we need to come back again and see if our Strato Viper friend can redeem himself and give us a positive. I don't mind at all him leading with the negative, because like I said, I did kind of agree. It was like everybody was emotional. I mean, I get it with Snake Eyes, but would have been good to have someone solid like a rock. And that person would be Stalker, I would think. But it's time to hear from Doug. Doug, what you got in round 2?
Yeah, so I used that as my low because what I thought was impressive was late, and Pat, I think, started to allude to this, was Flint talking to Scarlet kind of close to the end of the book. And Flint has been, in the previous issues, really the loose cannon, really the emotional one, right? It's still there. The edge is still there, right? I'm not saying that he's cured or anything, but he took the time and the effort to go talk to and try to help Scarlet in the little way he could. And so I thought that was a really good high. Like I like to see, I don't like seeing Flint so in such despair, right? Over and over again, because he's definitely a great character, has always been a great character that I look back at it. So to see him maybe by helping Scarlet starting to work through his own issues, I really enjoyed that part as a high, one of the highs of this book.
Wholeheartedly agree. I thought that was a really, really good scene. I mean, it's such an attention grabber because, like you said, he's been dealing with this darkness now since this book launched and since the end of the last book. And there's just something about seeing someone as tough and badass as Scarlet just crying. Like, it's like, wow, this is heavy stuff. That felt like a real emotional reaction, even if Casey was kind of going big on some of the other characters. That one didn't feel like it was going big, but it felt like it hit like it was going big. So I thought that,
I thought that scene hit just right.
He nailed it. He did.
I don't think there couldn't have been another character that would, kind of go in and talk to her. It had to be him. Just the fact too that, when he says it doesn't go away, it gets worse.
You just chew it like glass and use it to kill everybody. Speaking of which, Pat, what is your turn? What do you got?
Let's go ahead and go to the other story that's going on in this, and that's with Duke. Oh. We've been seeing these glimpses of what's Duke doing. Where's he going? What's going on? So we finally get to see him in the jungle here getting attacked by these really different bats, or just, call them like older bats, or,
I think they were like older
models, put together bats. And I want to know, who is he going after?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
So I started going, well, it's not Destro, because,
our front runner is like Major Blood, right? Because he was chasing him back in issue like 8 or something of the original series. And makes you wonder if he still has that vendetta, but I don't know. He's my best guess. I don't know.
I thought that he was still going. I could be wrong. This is my first time through America's Elite, so I could be wrong for sure. But I thought he was still going after, like General Hawk had him going after Cobra Commander. That was the feeling I got.
Maybe.
He's got him going after somebody. I really don't know. It could be Commander, which would make, a little more sense.
Makes good sense. As good as a theory as anybody else I've ever heard.
Yeah. So I'm going through my mind on Cobra people that it could be Commander. It could be. Who could it be that he's kind of hunting down that would really be hiding this much? But interesting, and I'm really, really want to find out what's happening.
I concur wholeheartedly. For my last round, I'm actually going to pick something that's not from the story. I just thought it was interesting. It's a teaser ad. It happens, if you have the actual book, it happens actually right after Duke gets kidnapped and right before Kamakura busts in. There's an ad for G.I. Joe America's Elite, and all it is a flying, tattered sort of dark blue,
Yeah, I was going to
and
ask
black
about that.
flag, and it's got a couple of holes in it. And I'm like, they're teasing something.
Yes.
But I have no idea what it is.
I didn't know what it is either. I was going to ask that too. That was going to be my extra thing is what this is about.
Doug had the best theory on who Duke was looking for. You have any good theories on what that flag is all about?
No good theories there. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I feel like they're teasing us like, you should recognize this. And I'm like, I don't recognize this.
Could be a cobra flag. I don't know.
Yeah, it has like that cobra blue to it. That sort of that dark, little purpley blue.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 2 holes in it. So could it be a mask? Is it Cobra Commander's mask sideways? It kind of looks like that. If you go sideways with it, it kind of looks like Cobra Commander's, because it is okay. When I hold it sideways, it is a Cobra emblem. It is. I see the fangs.
Oh.
So it almost looks like Cobra Commander's tattered mask. Now that I look at it sideways, yeah, it does look like Cobra Commander's tattered mask. I'm starting to think Doug's onto something. It's the codename Matlock. We're changing his name. Codename Matlock.
We'll just call it a good guess.
Yeah. Hey, I like it. I do like it. Well, that gets us through our 2 rounds of discussion. Does anybody have anything else burning in their belly they want to talk about in this one? I'm going to start with Doug because we all know Pat's got like a laundry list. Doug, anything else burning in your belly you want to talk about?
I guess one thing is like you brought up the shebang stuff at the beginning, and definitely right. We have the Snake Eyes thing at the end. This issue is really, to me, was much more about mysteries for the next coming issues, right? And a little bit of working through what had happened, but it made me want to read more. I want to read the next one because I want to know what the answers to those things are. So I think overall that was my takeaway on this one.
Concur. Great cliffhanger issue. Probably will reflect in my score. And since we've gone through all the rounds and nobody has anything else to say, let's go to Pat for combat readiness. All right, Pat, what do you got? What do you got?
I just have one other thing that I think is really cool, again, is the duty roster that they do. And they do the little headshots and they give you the name of the person. You know, you got Colton, Stalker. You have those headshots there that I like. And it kind of calls back to is that when Kamakura came on site, he's not even part of the group anymore. And Stalker kind of even acknowledges that, like, oh, hey, we got to figure out, we're going to head back to, the main base again, but we're going to have to get you some clearance to get back on the base again for you to come here. So I thought it's cool that they're keeping it to a short group yet, and not throwing all these people in it.
Short group, but a good, valuable ad with Kamakura. Him being a new character since the relaunch of the Devil's Due. The last one. I think it really speaks well of. I could imagine Joe Casey calling Josh Blaylock and being like, "Hey, now that I've killed Snake Eyes, Scarlet's already there, Stalker's already there, Storm Shadow's already there. Is there anybody else who should be like very invested?" And he's probably like, "Yeah, my man Kamakura to be there." You know what? I'm going to point out one thing that it's kind of like comic book cool, but only if you don't think about it too much. In the Duke scene where he's fighting the bats, my man does like a full airborne, no hands cartwheel to shoot 2 bats like he's Jackie Chan or something. I'm like, that's not very Duke-like to me, but like it's exciting to look at the drawing. But if you think about it too much, you're like, I can't imagine Duke. That's like a Snake Eyes move. That's
especially in the hot weather. That's gonna be a hot jungle.
He's chafing.
It's just secret agent move, right?
Yeah, you're right. He, they did bolster his character by giving him that 007 background, but like even James Bond wouldn't really do the flying, spinning like thing. But it's one of those things. It's like it kind of looks cool, but if you think about it too much, like, dude, okay, I guess
Yeah, maybe you found some of Orsted's magic mushrooms.
He took that Orsted training that I did. Yeah. There he goes.
There he goes. Hey man, try these mushrooms to make you flip.
I call them spin kick mushrooms, man.
Spin kick power.
Now, before we get down the rabbit hole of Orsted too far, I probably should hand it back to DJ Kristatos. Get his IG's report on the combat readiness of this issue.
All right, well, and for those of you who don't speak military, that means we're going to score this issue story on the same 1 to 10 flag point scale we used earlier. So, Doug, on a scale of 1 to 10 flag points, how would you rate this issue? Using
kind of the same logic as like what I was talking about before with the story. It's a great cliffhanger one. There's that beginning portion that I want to know what's going to happen next with that group. On the surface, when I read it the first time, I was like, are they talking about going to get Snake Eyes? especially when at the end he was disappeared. But when I reread it, I was like, no, they're talking about going to the U.S. So like, I want to know what they're going to do next. I want to know where Duke's going next. I want to know where Snake Eyes is, right? So with all of that, I feel like this is kind of a bridge issue. So I'm going to lower the score a little bit. And I'm going to go, I really think there were some good, poignant, meaty pieces. So I'm going to go with an 8, but only an 8.
That is definitely a fair number. Jarrod, are you at an 8, higher or lower?
Continue with the theme of this episode, we're just slightly higher than Doug. I'm going to go with a 9 on this one. Which is high praise indeed, since there's not a lot of G.I. Joe action going on, but just like Doug said, what a great cliffhanger. You leave with a couple of questions. What's Shebang and the Red Ninjas up to? What's going to happen with Snake Eyes? What's going on with Duke? So you end with 3 great questions. And I like that. I like that feeling of, I can't wait for the next issue to come out. And I reward that greatly. So while I agree with him, it's probably an 8. Jarrod likes it to the tune of a 9 because those kind of things excite me.
All right. Well, I'm going to agree with Doug on this one. So 2 cool guys at an 8.
Oh, man.
1 chump at a 9, which is all right. One thing we didn't really talk about, too, is if Snake Eyes' body is not there, does that mean Storm Shadow was lying?
Hard to say. If he was, he had his reasons. If he wasn't, Snake Eyes...
Yeah. Or did Snake Eyes reach a different level? I don't know.
I feel like Doug may be once again onto something. Codename Matlock. Like the Red Ninjas, maybe they have some sort of technique or something that's, super secret to even them. And, Snake Eyes is currently the de facto leader of the Red Ninja clan as we left him in the previous series. So it would make sense that they would maybe go get his body and have some kind of cool, super secret ritual that only they know.
Well, that could, that could be too. Maybe that was what Shebang and the guys were doing. He's going to go get them.
I'm just not sure, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I read it twice and I just can't figure it out. So it does make me want to read the next one.
Heck yeah. Definitely does. And with that, it's time to go through this episode and figure out who you want to give a Silver Star medal or a Silver Snake to for either gallantry in action or sneaky snaky-tude. This is where each of us get to award the character in this issue who went above and beyond the call of duty or sneaky snakiness. Doug, do you have a Silver Star or a Silver Snake to give out?
Yeah, we didn't even really see any snakes, so
true.
Got to go Silver Star. I'm going to go with Flint for starting to dig himself out of his despair and helping his fellow Joe Scarlet deal with the death of Snake Eyes.
That is definitely a good one. Jarrod, do you have a different character you want to do, or do you agree with Doug on Flint?
I agree with Doug on Flint, honestly. I that was the one I was going to go with, and it was just neat to see him use his hurt to help. Yeah. He's using his hurt to help, and in the end, it's not just helping her, it's helping him. So, yeah, I agree with the Strato Viper.
I agree with you guys, too. I think 3 cool guys agreeing on Flint and him doing his best to help Scarlet in her time of need. With that, then let's go ahead and go to the next segment that we call Death Probe's Toy Chest.
It's here, the G.I. Joe collection, each sold separately. G.I. Joe from Hasbro.
All right, in this segment, I'll take something or someone featured in this issue and give you a brief toy history on it. And since Joe Casey has shrunk this roster down, I have been scraping some bottoms of barrels because we've covered just about everything. But he brought in a new character, so this issue I've selected Shebang. All right, Shebang is from Series 11 in 1992 as part of Ninja Force, as I think Pat mentioned earlier. Well done, Pat. His real name is Sam LaQuail. He's from East Greenwich, Rhode Island. He has blue pants, yellow gloves, a padded shirt, and a mask, all of which are also yellow. He came with a light blue sword, a light blue double-edged battle axe, and a black figure stand. He had a spring for punching action. And as of the recording of this episode, which is in late January of 2025, there are 2 versions of Shebang. So, time to talk about it. Do you own him? Did you own him? We will start with the Stratoviper.
So I do not. As a child, I stopped in 87, 88. I have not come across him. Well, I've seen him around, but I haven't bought him yet in my later collection.
Gotcha. Pat.
I never got a Chebang at all. I may have seen him once or twice, but then he would move and he would move. And I just couldn't. Then next thing you know, Chebang, he's gone.
That one was less obvious than ones in the past, so I'm going to give you the credit for it. You got me good.
Yeah, this is definitely during the Ninja Force, 92, just getting out of high school. So, I wasn't collecting the toys back then. Plus, I didn't have that good of a job where you had that disposable income that I could just dispense like that. But man, I wish I could back then. Go back then and buy all that stuff up.
Should have come with me to the Kentucky Toy Show, Pat. They had plenty of this stuff like
really
that.
Shebang everywhere you look, yeah.
Shebang. Yeah.
You see a lot of them at Joe Fest, too.
Indeed. Now, I know what you're thinking, Pat. Jarrod's fancy, so of course he has Shebang, and I do, because I am.
You got both versions?
Don't know. I'd have to look at the second version. I'm almost positive I have this version. I don't know if I have the other one. The one I featured, the Series 1192, is version 1. So I'd have to look to see about version 2. But much like our friend, the Strato Viper, I really made my last hurrah of collecting Joe's, as a kid, like collecting the play in 89. And this is a 92 Joe. Which you can tell because it's Ninja Force, brighter colors. This is the era in which G.I. Joe is now competing with Ninja Turtles. And so that happened. There's a lot more Ninja. There was a lot more brighter colors, and ooze and toxicity somehow found its way into G.I. Joe's Eco Warriors and whatnot. But I did find him in my yard sale adventures over the years. But yeah, I do have a Shebang.
Very cool.
Did my fanciness. So with all of our statuses on whether or not we have Shebang, we'd love to know if you have Shebang as well. And we'll tell you in just a minute how to chat with us about that. But it is time for us to get into something that Pat's going to lease into. Go, Pat, go.
All right. Well, next up is our feedback segment called Combat Comms.
Communications officer, code name breaker.
As always, we want to start off Combat Comms with our roster of our battle-hardened Crusader Club veterans. These are the fine folks that have joined our Crusaders Club. They enjoy early access to special Longbox video episodes, free raffle giveaways, voting on show programming, and so much more. So, these are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
Alan W. Wright.
And Helico Wolf. Ow.
Oberon Elvis.
Bill Burr.
Billy D.
The man, the myth, the Strato Viper himself, Bradley Dellow. Codename Doug.
Braxton Underwood.
Carrie Underwood. Wait, nope, just Carrie.
Shoot. I thought we had a superstar. Anyway. Clinton Robinson.
Captain Entropy.
Clark Westfield.
Dave Collins, the Battle Van.
Battle Wagon.
Eric Hodges.
Eric Porter.
Ezra Gallo.
Gary V.
Gene Hendricks.
George Meal.
Gerald Green.
Heinz K.
Jason Keene.
Jason Lady. Jeff
Polier.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman.
It's not bad. He did his best.
He did his best, yes.
He got further than a lot of guys who have been on the show for a long time. Jim Meal.
Joe Man Conan.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Captivating Kathy Bright, the MVP.
Matt and Lizzie Passo.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Treva.
Michael Minton.
Miranda W.
P.D. Devons.
Paul Hicks.
Rick of Jeff and Rick Presents.
Ronald Easterday.
Rob Morgan.
Samantha Manning.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
Tony Pennington.
And Toronto Cup.
If we missed anyone on our list, we do apologize. Please keep in mind that we record these episodes well in advance of release. So if you are a recent addition, we should be adding you soon. But still, don't worry about it. Just let us know that we missed you by sending us an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com, and we will get it all straightened out. So you might be asking yourself, how do I become a Crusaders Club member? Well, it's simple. Just head on over to patreon.com and search for Longbox Crusade. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get all the access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. So come and check us out. Now, let's see what messages from our platoon of loyal listeners we have waiting for us on Breaker's Comsat.
Communications officer, code name Breaker.
All right. These are from episodes 56 and 57, where we covered America's Elite 6 and Special Missions 6. Our guests were Matt and Lissy Passo. I got a couple of comments around the Special Missions number 6. We got G.I. Gary showing up to say, great show as always. Orsted is an interesting instructor. And as you can see, I carried on me. He's still an instructor teaching classes bit on this episode. And we heard from maybe first-time commenter. I'm not sure if it's not. I apologize. But Dr. Gordon B. Schmidt came in and said, I've been rebuying the Special Missions recently, and I'd love to chat about an issue sometime. So perhaps we should have Dr. Gordon Schmidt on the show.
I wonder if that's Mindbender in disguise.
I think he might be
Dr.
on something.
Is he a dentist?
I always forget that Mindbender was a dentist. Stephen Mindbender, DDS. And then as far as America's Elite number 6 goes, I believe we just heard from G.I. Gary. He's keeping the comments alive. Thank you, G.I. Gary, who said, I learned something new I didn't know about Xandar's card art variation. To which I replied, wait, we actually provided content of value? We did it, Pat. We did it.
To Gary of anybody.
To Gary of all people, yeah. I can't tell you how happy I was that we actually taught somebody as sharp as Gary on this kind of thing. Hard to get one past Gary.
Yes, definitely. But we do appreciate it. And we do appreciate Gary sending in comments. That definitely helps raise the profile of the show. And we love to get back to everybody in the comments. So get in the conversations. Let's get a group of people together commenting about the issue in the comment sections.
All right, Pat, speaking of comments, we got something a little special for the comment section on this one. Got a private message via Instagram, and this individual has okayed it for me to read this publicly. And I just want to share this with you guys out there in listener land. This is from Steve Martin, and we've mentioned his name on the show before. It's not the Steve Martin. Yeah. Well, to us, it is the Steve Martin.
Yeah. He's one cool guy.
he's a wild and crazy guy. But back in December, just before Christmas time, we got a message from Mr. Martin, and it goes a little something like this. Good afternoon. I wanted to reach out and let you and Pat know that in a roundabout way, your podcast helped me get through a heck of a journey. A few months ago, I had a triple bypass, and during the time of recovery, I was required to walk a little bit more each day. It started with just 5 minutes a few times a day, and then progressed to me doing about 2 miles per day. And you guys were with me every step of the way with your Longbox Crusade coverage of G.I. Joe. And being the second time around that I tuned in was even better than the first. Orsted is a true miracle worker, LOL. And thank you guys for all you do. Oorah and Yo Joe. Touched my heart, Steve. I'm so glad that we could be part of your recovery, man. That I got no words.
Definitely.
I got no words.
Oh, yeah. That means a lot to hear. Just glad that you're recovering, Steve, and you're definitely progressing forward. Just honored to be a part of that journey. Speaking from my own self, that with the stuff my wife has gone through, I can definitely understand the small steps to get to where you got. It took a lot just to take a few steps for her each day, and then to finally be able to, go down the driveway and then past the driveway onto the next and around the block, things like that. So awesome. Great to hear. And just glad to be a part of the journey. And also, Jarrod, did you know that Steve sent me something in the mail?
Yeah, I want to talk about that too. What did Steve send you in the mail, Pat?
Steve sent me, and I thank you very much, Steve, for listening, because he definitely had the ear and he was listening. The call went out, And Steve provided. He sent me 2 Iron Grenadiers.
Okay. First of all, awesome. Thank you for that, Steve. Second of all, are they identical? Are they both like 88 Grenadiers?
No, according to some further conversation with Steve, one is an older one. One is the original, and then there is another version.
Right, the newer version. I mentioned this because I was just updating because I came back from the Joe thing.
Mhm.
And when I went to the Joe thing in Kentucky, I had all the figures that I needed, quote unquote needed, it's a strong word, but the ones I was looking for. But my list only went up to 87. And when I got back, I was like, I'm going to add 88. And the very first figures I'm going through the list of them on the website that I didn't have was an 88 Iron Grenadier. And I was like, oh Pat got the one I needed. So fully intend to steal that from you, Pat. But man, Steve just keeps on winning, right? He touches our hearts with his triple bypass heart story and how we help him. And then he sends you some Joe figures. And
yeah, that was very kind of him. I
really
appreciate that. Yeah, really, it was a nice surprise in the mail.
The evil side of me feels like we should be trying to get more people to have triple bypasses so we get more listeners. What do you feel about that, Pat?
Well, maybe we could partner with some physical therapy places and just say, hey, really, we got Orsted. We'll send Orsted out there.
Yeah.
And he can start,
He's got a healing touch, man.
Yeah.
Like,
hey man, this is just, it's soothing sense to your ears.
Let Orsted touch your heart. Like literally with lavender oil.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Smells good.
Let's move on. We better move on. Hey, by the way, we mention this in every episode. We'd love to hear from you and feature your voice on the show. You can call and leave us a voicemail at 707-532-5269, 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
I'm sending out a special call out on this one. If you've always kind of been on the fence, how cool would it be if you picked up the phone and dialed 707-532-5269, and when you got our voicemail line, you just said some kind of words of encouragement for Steve Martin. Just
that would be cool.
If we get a couple of those, just some of you guys out there listening, just to call in and say something nice about Steve on his road to recovery as he's walking further and further with us in his ears. I'd love for you guys to make that happen. Steve, if this doesn't work out and it falls flat and no one calls in, you can blame me for this. Okay, buddy. But we are rooting for you, and we wish you the speediest recovery. And that will bring us to mission complete status for this episode of G.I. Joe Chronicles. If you'd like to hear more from us in the realm of comic books, action films, vintage TV, movies, serials, and more, check out the entire Longbox Crusade Network. DJ Kristatos, where can they find that?
Well, Jarrod, I'm glad you asked. You can find us on much of all the podcasters that are out there, or you can go to www.longboxcrusade.com. We're on X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Longbox Crusade. Just go out and find us. Look up Longbox Crusade, and there we will be.
You added us to Blue Sky, too, didn't you?
We are on Blue Sky as well. Yes.
Everywhere. And if you'd like to chat with us online, we can be found at... Back to you, Pat.
Oh, well, Jarrod, I'm glad you asked. You can find me on the X at Kristatos01. Back to you, Jarrod.
Okay. I am on the X, Facebook, and the one I'm not remembering, Instagram. It's at Yard Sale Artists. They're all at Yard Sale Artists. Now, most importantly, Strato Viper, who hung in there and listened to us do all of our or step jokes. Where can folks find you if they like to chat more about G.I. Joe with you on the socials?
Yeah, if you want to talk G.I. Joe with me, I am on X as Strato Viper 72. You can also find me on Facebook as Bradley Douglas Dellow, but very little Joe stuff, more family stuff there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got to know him as the Strato Viper at Strato Viper 72 on the X, and a lot of cool Joe content. He's a good follow, so highly recommend. Okay, thanks for joining us for this episode of G.I. Joe Chronicles. We will see you on the battlefield next episode, where we will cover G.I. Joe Special Missions from Marvel, number 8, Ambush. Until then, platoon, fall out.
Yo, Joe!
The music themes for this show are done by musical genius Joe November. Please check out his SoundCloud at Josephline99. That's Josephline 99. You will not regret it. shout out to Gary V for putting this poor bastard onto our show.
Because now it's part of the show where we will debrief our recruits. Wait, no, that's your part of the show. See?
You did it better than me if it makes you feel better.
I probably know.
Okay. Get it together, Doug.
We don't get it together, Doug. It's okay.